everyone. Welcome back this afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming, all our special guests and SFA family. We have a really exciting agenda this afternoon. I think we're going to look back on this agenda in 3 to 5 years and say what a great day today was in SFA history. It's very forward-thinking. It's exciting to think of what the future holds for us. So with that, we will start our business of the day. And I would like to welcome guests here today with us. We have Major James Attaway III from Military Science. And we also have Cadet Alex Medina. He is a senior biology major from Dallas and went to Duncanville High School. During his tenure at SFA ROTC, he was awarded a 3-year U.S. Army ROTC scholarship and recently found out that he will be a distinguished military graduate. That's limited to the top 20% of the graduating ROTC cadets nationwide. And actually, Alex far exceeded the top 20% requirement, and he was in the top 10% of cadets nationwide. This means he was in the top 580 cadets out of 5,800. Wow. Cadet Medina. Cadet Medina will graduate from SFA this coming spring and commission as a U.S. Army Second Lieutenant, where he hopes to branch infantry. SFA ROTC is truly proud of Cadet Medina and all of his accomplishments. And at this time, he is going to lead us in our pledges.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and protect this flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. And now at this time, Regent Nelda Blair will lead us in our invocation.
Pray with me. Dear Lord, we come in praise and thank you for a day like today. We thank you for the opportunity to help in leading an absolutely wonderful institution like Stephen F. Austin State University. Thank you for our positions. Help us, Lord, to use wisdom and to look to you to make good decisions today, for now, and for the future. We praise all these. We ask all these in your name, Lord, and we praise you. Amen.
Amen.
As many of you have noticed, Dr. Patillo is not with us here for the meeting today. He is not feeling well, and we want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. And at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Westbrook to lead us into some special introductions and recognitions.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And we know that for Dr. Stoll to miss a meeting like this, he absolutely is not feeling well at all. So he is in our thoughts. But our first part of our meeting today are special recognitions. All 3 of those are in Dr. Bullard's area. So, Dr. Bullard.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. 3 special recognitions today. They're very significant. One of them is a professor from secondary education and educational leadership. I'd like to ask Dr. Linda Black just to come forward and be recognized for an award that she has won by the World History Association. She's been recognized as with their Pioneers in World History Award. Linda, I won't bite them. No, we do have outstanding faculty, and Dr. Black is one fine example of that. And a little bit later, Dr. Reese will be highlighting a couple of additional, Dr. Charles Gavin from the School of Music and Dr. Sam Copeland from the School of Social Work. Meanwhile, I just want to read briefly from this letter because the president of the World History Association really did a good job of outlining exactly why they presented this award. Dr. Black began her career as a high school world history teacher in San Antonio. And then during that time, she was awarded the state's outstanding secondary social studies teacher in Texas for the entire state. Then she decided she wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit and to post-secondary education. And so she went to Texas A&M, received a PhD, and has been a faculty member at Stephen F. Austin in the Department of Secondary Ed and Leadership since 2006. She was also a co-author of, and this is from the letter, so Linda didn't write this, what is by far the most widely used textbook for world history in high schools, World History, Patterns of Interaction. I just want to congratulate her and really just recognize the excellence that she brings to our campus. And the second one I'd like to recognize, and I'd like to ask them to go ahead and come forward. I may be accused by some of my colleagues of being biased towards the College of Forestry and Agriculture, but I want to recognize another group. Y'all come on in, please. Dr. Rebecca Kidd and 3 of the 4 students who participated in a national contest recently where they won at the national level at the National Society of American Foresters Conference in Portland, Oregon. They won the Quiz Bowl, so they beat Penn State, Berkeley, Virginia Tech. They beat all of them. And it's just incredible. It's the first time an SFA team has ever won that. It's extremely competitive. There were 32 teams from all across the nation. And it does put us, again, nationally on the profile of every other school. Everyone, I guarantee you, every forestry school knows who won that award. So with that, I'd like to say, Dr. Rebecca Kidd is serving as the advisor for the Student Chapter Society of American Foresters for this contest in particular. And this is just some of the things that they had to be able to answer questions on. Again, this is a technical academic exercise. Forest resources, wildlife, habitat management, hydrology, soil science, silviculture, ecology, spatial science, agroforestry, recreation management, policy, and economics. And also, the rules allow each of the 4 teams to have 1 graduate student. In this case, SFA won the thing without having a graduate student member. So these are our undergraduates. Again, congratulations also to Dr. Kidd, because that doesn't just happen. She joined our faculty in 2016, finishing her PhD at Virginia Tech, and she's a registered forester in Arkansas, has been at Arkansas, Monticello, Auburn, and Campbell University. I'd like to ask if Dr. Kidd wants to say anything, but for each student to kind of say who they are, where they're from. Some of you will know Chris Longman, because he's been before you before. He's also one of the key lumberjacks on the Sylvans team.
All right, well, I'm Christopher Longman. I'm a senior forest management major from Jackson, Missouri.
I'm Regents. I'm a junior wildlife management major from Dallas, Texas.
Hi, I'm Rachel Murray. I'm an urban forestry major and a GIS minor, and I'm from Arlington, Texas.
Rebecca, would you like to say anything about what it takes to kind of motivate?
Sure. Firstly, I'll mention our 4th member of our team, Justin Blakely, is a junior forest management major from Longview, Texas. So over the past, I guess going on 3 years, I've had the opportunity to kind of coach them, give them a kick in the rear, ask them some questions they don't know the answers to. And so throughout all of our rigorous practices and their dedication, I feel like things finally came to for us to win this. It takes a little luck, but it took a lot of preparation as well. Several practices at 7 a.m., yes, this year. So we look to bring that back next year.
Would you tell about the sudden death question?
You go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're proud to say that we beat the entire state of Pennsylvania. We matched up against Penn State and Penn State Mont Alto. I believe it was Penn State Mont Alto took us to overtime. And so it was a sudden death single question. They showed us, it wound up being a picture of a piece of equipment, and we had to say what type of equipment it was. So that was probably our most nerve-wracking moment.
So lumberjacks know the timber equipment. Thank you. Very
Dr. Bullard, before they leave the room, I
Okay,
should
wait.
mention, I was in Galveston a week and a half ago for the Texas Forestry Association annual meeting, and there are two breakfasts there for foresters across the state, the A&M one and the SFA one. The SFA one was always packed out, and there's a few stragglers at the A&M breakfast, but this was announced to the room of SFA alumni in the forest business, and it erupted in applause when Dr. Williams announced it, and certainly it's a very meaningful award in the forest industry. And of course, Dr. Williams also played a video of what happens in the College of Forestry. I guess it's on the website, probably, the College of Forestry website, but it was, all those in attendance really enjoyed that as well. And then I think he announced a 25% increase in enrollment in the Department of Forestry, at least that part of the college, over the last 2 years, 25% enrollment. So everybody there, the alumni from the College of Forestry, were very enthusiastic about what's happening at SFA right now.
It is true, thank you, Regent Alders. It is true that we have this in-state rivalry, as you know, with Texas A&M. And so only two places in Texas to get that degree. And y'all have heard me say it before. I'll keep on saying it. I said it in Austin last week, but we're the forestry program that also has a forest. And then last but not least, this award is something that's so significant. I want to ask Dr. Colhavy to come stand near me. Dr. David Colhavy has been a faculty member here now for 40 years. And he was recently selected. The award hasn't been presented yet, but for one of the most significant awards I think that any faculty member could receive. He will be the 52nd recipient of the William T. Hornaday Gold Medal Award from the Boy Scouts Association. It is the Olympic gold medal of conservation presented by the Earth. That's the way it's described. And it's for lifetime achievement. You have to have a minimum of 20 years of active engagement as a professional. I wanted to just say a brief word. William T. Hornaday was a wildlife conservation professional. I'm going to ask if Regent
Coleman.
Regent Coleman, I'm going to ask if he will tell just a little bit about the significance of this award, and then I'm going to say a little bit more about Dr. Colhavy, because
Sure.
it takes a scouter to really know that.
Yeah, as most of y'all may know, I mean, I've been in Scouts forever, and the William T. Hornaday Award was started in 1913, I think. William Hornaday started, well, actually, he was a director of the New York Zoological Society, and was the founder of the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Well, I mean, that's who this guy is. And he started the award in 1913, and it was called the Wildlife Preservation Award. He died in the middle 30s, and when he died, they changed the name to the William T. Hornaday Award. So you understand, this award goes back to 1913. This is the 52nd person that's ever gotten that award in 104 years. I've never met one, so I want to shake his hand before he gets out of here, because this is an incredible honor that, well, in 114 years, like I said, this is number 52. So it just doesn't happen that often. And in Scouts, that's a big, big deal. So congratulations, truly. And when you get it, I want to see it, okay? Because I've never even seen one, much less anything else. So I definitely want to see this thing.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, well, no.
Let me tell you a little bit about background here at SFA then. For 40 years, faculty member there. Dr. Colhavy is the person who nominates others for awards. He does an outstanding job of that. And a lot of the recognition that's been achieved by that faculty is because he was the one nominating for everything you can imagine. And he enjoys that. He thanked me for that assignment when I was dean. That's just, he's the Lawrence C. Walker Distinguished Professor of Forest Entomology and Landscape Ecology. You see his vehicle, you'll see Dr. Bug on that plate. I'm sure you have a little repellent with you. His degrees are from San Diego State and the University of Idaho. He's won many awards for distinguished service and accomplishments. His work has been displayed in the Smithsonian Institution. He's collaborated here with art faculty. He's published a book on art and forest pathology. I mean, he's a creative thinker, a creative doer. He's won the Distinguished Achievement Award by the National Entomological Society of America, the Piper Foundation Award for Texas. If you're familiar with that particular award, it's extremely prestigious. In '95, he won the Distinguished Professor Award from the Alumni Association here. University of Idaho has put him in their Alumni Hall of Fame. He's a fellow in the Society of American Foresters, and he's also won the SFA-SU Teaching Award. And within the Society of American Foresters, he's also won the National Teaching Award. And I think he's the only person I've known in my career who's won that award from the Society of American Foresters. Those of you who know him know that he is, and Hans, I'll just say it this way, to put it, he's pedagogically creative.
Good way to put it.
His wife once told me, Pam told me, that when it came to his DNA, he missed the embarrassment. He writes songs, he does creative interpretive dancing to the songs, and he has the rite of passage. His course is the rite of passage for all these forestry students that you see here at SFA. They have to select an insect, design a costume, make the costume, and then dance in front of all their peers. Now imagine a bunch of introverted foresters dancing in mud costumes. So I just want, I mean, Dr. Bug is a regular chigger of a professor. Thank you. Thank you. Just informed me, Lawrence C. Walker, who was Dean of Forestry here for decades, in fact, almost the founding team,
Right.
Won the William T. Hornaday Award in what year?
1983.
Okay.
So two of them out of this
Yes,
school,
yes,
out of
yes.
52. I mean, you got in 104 years.
Pretty
Come
good.
on, that's serious. I mean,
Please shake hands with Richard Coleman.
no,
Thank you, Dr. Bullard. At this time, we'll start with our first agenda item, which is approval of the minutes of the July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 2018 Board of Regents meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, Madam Chair, we will consider personnel items that are contained in item number 2, faculty appointments, item 3, staff appointments, item 4, changes of status, and then item 5, which is retirement. So, Dr. Bullard, would you like to highlight him?
Agenda item 2, faculty appointments, include 30 appointments. This is the time of year when we have the most appointments in terms of new faculty arriving on campus. We've begun the fall semester. Agenda item 3 represents 27 staff appointments, and the remaining items involve 52 changes of status, and agenda item 5 people retiring with 113 years of service in those 5 years. One thing I would like to do is introduce one person that I would like to have introduced to you in July, but he and Dr. Marinell Brunson were at a national conference. And that is Dr. Mark Guidry. Mark, would you stand just so all of the Regents will know who you are? You might have seen him at lunch today, many of you. Dr. Guidry is the Associate Provost that will be in charge of the things that Dr. Brunson was working on. So SAC, COC, institutional effectiveness of all types. He's also our liaison with the coordinating board in Austin. Dr. Guidry, he He has been a faculty member here at SFA for about 20 years. His daughter was in the lumberjack band. I think he got to see her march in the parade, the homecoming parade, for maybe the last time. He's a senior music ed major. And I believe his son is at UT Austin right now. Dr. Guidry's specialty is in early British literature, Chaucer and Beowulf. So we're already impressed with him and just wanted you to know who he is when you see him. So thank you, Mark.
That's you have any others? Dan, you have any? Jim? That will conclude all of those recognitions of that. So the administration would recommend approval of items 2 through 5 at this time.
Is there, that's in a form of a motion, David, in a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move to academic and student affairs, agenda items 6 through 9. Regent Alders.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Agenda item 6 is the approval of the listed undergraduate and graduate curriculum changes, and they are going to be effective immediately upon passage of the motion. We discussed this in our academic and student affairs committee earlier today. So without further ado, I'll move approval of agenda item 6.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 7 is basically the changes listed again in the published agenda for graduate curriculum or graduate certificate in teaching psychology, and as part of that program, the establishment of Sci 30. I move that we approve these graduate curriculum changes.
Second.
Second from Nelda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Then I'll take agenda items 8 and 9 together, since they're both kind of the policy and procedure area. Agenda item 8 is the revision which we discussed earlier today to the rules and regulations for the Board of Regents. And some of that bears on agenda item 9, where we deleted a number of policies in this particular, under the purview of this particular committee, and others that had minor revisions. Again, we discussed all these in committee today, so without further discussion, I'll move that we approve agenda items 8 and 9.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all of our committee, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to building and crowns. We may get a crown after this. Building and grounds committee.
I can make that happen.
I could probably use
Y'all are
Listen what we're
Regent Garrett.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Our committee considered agenda items 10 through 12 and 14 through 19. And Danny, would you mention agenda item 10 on the purchase of property?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as you might recall, it's in our master plan to acquire property that's strategic to the university's growth and development. We have property along Star, the south side of, rather the north side of Star Street. We also have property along Baker Street, with the exception of this property that we're doing before you. This will allow us to acquire this property and then enhance our student parking, because we have some initiatives that are going to move some parking around. This will allow us to go in and gravel and provide additional student parking. So we recommend the purchase of this property at 1521 Baker Street at an appraised price of $98,900, with the university paying all associated closing costs.
Thank you, Danny. I'll take agenda item 11 as well, and this is a naming opportunity for Luann Richardson Classroom in the first floor of the McGee Business Building. Would you like to mention anything about this?
Sure. Luann is a graduate of SFA, and
very involved over the years. Regent Garrett, shall I read the resolution?
If you'd like,
To
sure.
some extent, the administration recommends that the Board of Regents name the collaborative classroom room 167 located on the first floor of the McGee Business Building as the Lou Ann Richardson classroom. It is further recommended that the following resolution be adopted. Whereas Lou Ann Richardson attended Stephen F. Austin State University and was a member of the Lady Jack tennis team in 1979, played intramural sports 1979 through 1983, was a member and officer of Gamma Sigma Sigma Resident Assistant, Gibbs Hall and Steen Hall, 1981 through 1983, and was the Lady Jack mascot during basketball season 1982 through 1983. Whereas she received a Bachelor of Business Administration degree from SFA in 1983, and whereas since graduating from SFA, she has served as a member of the Executive Advisory Board of the Rushi College of Business since 2012, and has served as chair of that board, and in 2014 was honored by the Alumni Association as a distinguished alumnus, and whereas she has worked in financial services for more than 34 years, and in 1995 joined Wells Fargo, where she is Executive Vice President and Head of Relationship Foundations and Programs within the Wholesale COO Group based in Dallas. Whereas she serves her community on the Board of Communities and Schools of the Dallas region, received the 2013 GFI Global Citizen Award, and was a recipient of the International Group Management and Excellence in Diversity Champion Award, chaired the IG Diversity Council from 2007 to 2009, and was a past chair of the GFI Community Support Campaign. And whereas Luann Richardson has faithfully served and continues to serve Stephen F. Austin State University with distinction and honor as a dedicated alum. And whereas in her loyal dedication to SFA and her generous spirit of service and standards of excellence, she is setting a distinguished example for others. Now, therefore, let it be resolved, the Board of Regents expresses its admiration, gratitude, and high regard for Luann Richardson by naming the room 167, situated on the first floor of the McGee Building, the Luann Richardson classroom.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I would like to make a motion on behalf of our committee, which is Regent Gant and Blair, that we adopt agenda items 10 and 11, and I'll make that motion.
Second. Now, Claire. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like now to take up agenda item 12, which is naming of the Lieutenant Kyle G. West Memorial Obstacle Course. And Steve, would you like to say something about that?
I certainly will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, the board has opportunity to name places on campus in honor of people for various levels of service, and this is certainly one that we think is very important. And I think the best way for me to do this is to simply read the resolution as well, because everything is captured within that. I think that really would tell the story. And the administration recommends that the board name the obstacle course located adjacent to the Student Recreation Center on the campus of Stephen F. Austin State University, the Lieutenant Kyle G. West Memorial Obstacle Course. It is further recommended that the following resolution be adopted. Whereas Lieutenant Kyle G. West graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University on December 17, 2005, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army, and whereas upon commissioning, Lieutenant West attended Field Artillery Officer's Basic Course and was assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division at Fort Hood, Texas, and whereas in an absolute display of loyalty, duty, selfless service, and personal courage, Lieutenant West and 4 of his men were killed in action on May 28, 2007 in Abu Sada, Iraq, while en route to rescue the crew of a U.S. aircraft that had been downed. And whereas Lieutenant West was the first officer commissioned at Stephen F. Austin State University to be killed in action, and whereas Lieutenant West was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star with Valor and the Purple Heart, and whereas Lieutenant West absolutely embodied the Lumberjack Battalion motto, "Be the best." Now, therefore, let it be resolved, the Board of Regents expresses its admiration, gratitude and high regard for Lieutenant Kyle G. West by naming the obstacle course located adjacent to the Student Recreation Center on the campus of Stephen F. Austin State University, the Lieutenant Kyle G. West Memorial Obstacle Course. Mr. Chair, I'd like to recognize Major Attaway, who's here today. Major Attaway has been absolutely instrumental in bringing this recommendation to be considered. He's been absolutely instrumental in working with Lieutenant West's family to make sure this is something that would be important for them as well. Major Attaway, is there anything you would like to say?
Just very briefly, so Kyle graduated, I commissioned from Stephen F. Austin through the Lumberjack Battalion as well in 2004. Kyle's about a year and a half behind me, but this all-American guy, love to be here, love to wear the uniform for his country, so I think this does it's something we can do to honor him. You guys can do to honor him, and I think his family, his mother is very excited about the potential opportunity, and it's something that future cadets, as they come through our program, to be able to see the honor that we have for him, and it's something so.
Mr. Chair, we would recommend that the board adopt this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice President, and on behalf of our committee, I'd like to offer agenda item 12 for full approval of the board, and I make that formal motion.
Regent Fraley. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, we'll take agenda items 14 through 19 together. Agenda item 14 is selection of architect for Fine Arts Expansion Initiative, Welcome Center, and Student Support Services, and one-stop shop, and residential hall and dining hall construction and renovations. Item 15, selection of an architect for the basketball practice facility. Item 16, selection of a construction manager at risk for Fine Arts Expansion Initiative, Welcome Center, and Student Support Services, one-stop shop, basketball practice facility, and residential hall and dining hall construction and renovations. Item 17, approval to issue a request for qualifications for construction program management. Item 18, lease of classroom and office space at Lone Star College University Center at the Woodlands. And item 19, approval of building and grounds policy revisions. And on behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that a motion that we approve items 14 through 19.
Second.
Second.
Question? Do you not need to name, say the rest of the recommendations don't name who, where?
They're listed in there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the
old one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
No worries.
Second. Second.
Okay. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
And that concludes our report.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to Finance and Audit Committee report. Regent Fraley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Glad to have the work from Mr. Scott Coleman, Dr. Scott Coleman, and Tom Mason. We have a number of items 20 through 37. I'd like to move all those items except 26 and 28 and 29. One motion. 20 is the Richard Carville contract. 21 is the audit services report. 22 is the annual audit report. 23 is the audit charter. 24, universal services fee, university services fee. 25, residential hall fee. 27, short-term construction project financing. 30, road bus purchase. 31, shuttle bus. 32, software purchase. 33, course fee deletion. 34, library system upgrade. 35, grant awards. 36, medical insurance billing. And 31, financial affairs policy. I'd like to move all those in one motion. Make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, item 26 is to pay for all the things the building and grounds has approved. And I want to make them work for this bond. But this is a bond resolution to authorize the financing of the projects. And the recommended the president be authorized to sign project associated contracts and purchase orders that are 100,000 or greater. Make that motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, item 28 is legislative appropriations request. Danny, you want to explain this one a little bit there? It's a pretty good initiative there, I do believe.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Item number 28 is the LAR.
Yes, this particular item is a document that we prepare, guided by the Legislative Budget Board every even numbered year. It's prepared in preparation for the legislative session, which will begin the following odd numbered year in January. In this particular request, we present our non-formula items, which are essentially our special items and our TRB requests. And in this, we have a TRB request of $48 million for Natural Resources Science and Innovation Laboratory. And also, the request includes slightly under $8.4 million for biennial debt service. This particular report is prepared and submitted first in August between the two board meetings of July and October. Then after the LBB receives initial report, they review it, then they ask us to make revisions. That report was submitted on October 19th of this year. So with this item, we request the ratification of the 2020-21 legislative appropriation request.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the LAR as requested.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
And item 29 is the STEM building budget and gross maximum price increase. If anyone explain that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular item, we're required by policy to bring construction budgets for approval to the Regents, and we have had up to this point investment earnings of $778,491. The budget was initially established at $46.4 million, which was the amount approved by the state legislature for our STEM building project and funded with tuition revenue bonds. So to recognize these earnings and then to recognize what we project we'll earn in the project, we're asking you to increase the budget from $46.4 million to $47,250,000. Also, in association with the item, we're required to bring to you the gross maximum price, or GMP. We're asking you to increase the GMP so that we can construct some of the alternates we've had in the plan. I showed you this morning in the Building and Grounds Committee about the plan to renovate Griffith Boulevard. In order to do that, we need to increase the GMP from $39,792,315 to $40,992,315, an increase of $1.2 million. So our recommendation is to approve the budget increase to $47,250,000 and to approve the GMP of $40,992,315.
I'm sure I'm happy the committee to make that motion.
Second.
Tom Mason. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
I'm sure that's our report. I want to make a quick comment. I want us to really recognize what we've just done today. A tremendous investment in our university, in our community. I want to thank the Building and Grounds Committee for their hard work and all the staff work with them. This is, I think, a very momentous occasion, a major investment, and we're very excited about the work ahead as well with our university. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you. I agree.
Who's our report now?
Thank you so much. Okay. Dr. Westbrook, would you like to share reports from the president?
I would. Dr. Pillow left a list of dates that he would like to make sure you are aware of before you leave today. First of all is our last home football game. It's scheduled for November the 15th against Northwestern. Of course, that's the battle for Chief Caddo. That's at 6 o'clock, and something of interest, that's a Thursday night game. this year because it is right on the start of the Thanksgiving weekend, and the university closed on the Thanksgiving week. So I shouldn't say the Thanksgiving weekend, it's the weekend before the week of Thanksgiving. So it's a Thursday night game, and then the university will be closed for Thanksgiving the November 19th through the 23rd. November 26th is the faculty Christmas reception. The 27th is the staff Christmas reception and the lighting of our tree and the campus for the Christmas holidays. Also, the Christmas holidays for the university are December 24 through January 1. So the university will be closed during that time. And then classes begin again January the 22nd. And then the next Board of Regents meeting is scheduled for January the 28th and 29th. A few things in between. The gala is coming up on December the 9th. It's a 6 o'clock reception and a 7 o'clock dinner. We hope it is in the newly renovated grand ballroom. I should say it absolutely will be in the newly renovated grand ballroom. Even if there's something hanging out of the ceiling, it will be in the ballroom.
You made Jill lean forward.
I know.
Yeah, she's got to throw her phone at you in a minute.
More on that one. Ran out into the hallway, didn't she? Well, if you aren't sure if you're coming or not, you might change your mind when I tell you the name of the dance band. It is Hot Sauce. Hot Sauce from hailing all the way from Austin. So the gala is December the 9th. It's in commencement.
It's December 9th.
It's Saturday, December 8th.
December 8th.
Oh, I'm sorry. December
Well,
8th.
the ballroom may not be ready.
Well, yeah.
He was trying to give him an advance.
One more day is what
I
I
was
was
trying to give it one more day. December 8th. Commencement is December 15th, I think. We'll check, but I think it's December the 15th. Two ceremonies, one at 9:30 in the morning and the other at 2 o'clock as usual. This time, currently we have 1,060 students in the graduating class. And then as always, the Murray Shaw room will be open between 8:45 and 9:15 for you to gather there. And then there will be, as usual, lunch between the two ceremonies for you. He mentions here, just as a reminder, I guess, that 3 Regents terms will be ending the end of January. David Alders and Bob Garrett and Ken Schaefer. I know, selfishly, we all hope the governor moves very slowly to make any change there. So we'll see if we can slip that by for a little bit longer. But certainly you'll be those Regents will be here for the January meeting, and I think as tradition holds, probably a meeting or two even past that. That would be our hope for sure. And then last on his list is the 86th legislative session. Obviously begins in January. That will begin January the 8th and will end on May 27th of 2019 on Memorial Day. So, Madam Chair, that is the President's report.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll have Jason Reese with the Faculty Senate report.
Hello, how are you all? Greetings, Madam Chair, Board of Regents, Dr. Bullard, colleagues and guests. I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be here today to speak on behalf of faculty. Before I get into what I'd like to talk about today, last meeting I kind of introduced you to Dr. Jeremy Stovall, but he was not here because he, as well as myself, were attending the Texas Academic Leadership Academy in the Woodlands. And so he's here today, so I'd like him to stand up so you can put a name to a face. He's the chair-elect and will take over my duties following the May commencement. So today I'd like to talk to you about 3 things. The first is a follow-up to a discussion about the alignment of the SFA and vision with the promotion and tenure guidelines at SFA. Then talk a little bit about what we've been up to since the last time I spoke with you. And then finish with some accomplishments or highlighting some accomplishments of our faculty. So to begin, as you recall, back in my meeting in July, I presented to you or highlighted Dr. Dan Bruton, and you met him later when he toured the STEM building the next day from the College of Sciences and Mathematics. I specifically wanted to introduce him as kind of a highlight of his efforts in positive and student engagement. Then following my report, Regent Alders asked a question. He said, actually, he mentioned that there needs to be recognition of our faculty and the efforts in our promotion and tenure guidelines as it relates to student engagement. He mentioned it earlier today as well. And so to follow up with that, he also mentioned that we need to contemplate how to integrate engagement and the other elements of SFA and Vision into that promotion and tenure guidelines. And so to accommodate this, I asked our strategic planning committee, which is an internal faculty senate committee, to look into this and specifically look across multiple colleges. The committee selected 3 different colleges to look at. That included the College of Business, the Department of Elementary Education, and the College of Forestry and Agriculture. They specifically wanted to look and see how SFA envisioned, as well as student engagement was reflected in those policies, or in those guidelines. What they found was that there was a strong evidence between the SFA envisioned as well as promotion tenure guidelines. Specifically, they said they found that providing transformative experiences for students is very much highlighted in those guidelines across colleges. So examples of these activities that relate directly to recruitment and retention of our SFA students included, and this is across the board in all areas they looked at, was the mentoring of undergraduate and graduate students in research, advising students academically, guiding student organizations, supervising internships, creating co-curricular learning experiences, tutoring students outside of the classroom, leading immersive field experiences for students, as well as many others. So in fact, if we looked at each of those academic units, we found that all of them directly addressed student recruitment and retention and said that these were types of interactions that were required of our faculty and then rewarded during that process. And so we really think that it does, to answer your question, fulfill this idea of student engagement and promotion and tenure. So to tell you a little bit about what we've been up to from a faculty senate standpoint, we've been pretty active this academic year since I spoke to you in July, so I'd like to highlight some of those ongoing projects. The Faculty Senate held a retreat on August 24th. This hadn't been done for several years, but what the purpose I wanted to have is all of our faculty senators in one place, and really to set the tone for the year and gain an understanding of what Faculty Senate should look like at SFA. We reviewed our Constitution and our standing rules, and I want to highlight 3 basic things that, after discussion, we feel really detail what we feel our call is. The first is, and this is quoting from our Constitution, formulating and recommending academic policy. The second is considering all other matters of general welfare to the university. And then finally, opening avenues of communication between faculty, administration, and the Board of Regents. And so that's kind of our call this year, and has always been since we were founded. I also presented the 4 goals, and we had a discussion of that. Remember, I presented those to you in July as well. Dr. Bullard visited during our lunch break and was able to talk a little bit about leadership and specifically organizational change. And then our senators were able to break into their internal committee to, again, set the tone for the year, look at their collective goals. So since our retreat, we've held 2 regularly scheduled meetings, one in September and one in October. We have one more this semester in November. And I'd like to briefly talk about some of the report topics that have happened in both our internal and our external committees, as well as some of the guests that we've had present. And this is just a highlight. The internal Faculty Senate Academic Affairs Committee has been in conversations with the Center for Teaching and Learning on campus to try to help in their efforts of making the center's activities more faculty owned. In other words, their offerings are owned by our faculty. We'd also like working with them to try to help actively achieve their goals as they start to make some changes in that center. So we're excited about being a part of that. The Ethics Committee is developing 2 parallel initiatives. The first one is a mentorship or faculty mentorship program that's by the faculty for the faculty. And kind of parallel to that, they're starting a discussion on campus about civility in academia. I feel like their conversations with different campus stakeholders has been very fruitful, and we're excited to see kind of their direction they're headed. The Faculty Governance Involvement Committee has been working, as was mentioned earlier, with Irma Brecht in the Enrollment Management Office to see, take a better look from a faculty perspective, those strategic enrollment goals that were presented to you before lunch. And specifically, as she mentioned, we're having intense discussions about what it means to be a Hispanic serving institution here at SFA, and I'll mention that a little bit in just a second. But really, how can faculty be involved in achieving these goals? Because as it was mentioned before, we're collaborating. It's across the board, across campus. The Professional Welfare Committee is probably one of the more active ones in the past couple of months. On October 3rd, they hosted, the Faculty Senate in conjunction with the Student Government Association, hosted a family forum The purpose of this forum was to discuss the welfare of family welfare on the SFA campus. Topics of the discussion were focused on children in the workplace, resources for families with children, and resources for pregnant and nursing mothers. I'd like to say a special thank you to the Division of Finance and Administration, especially Loretta Doty and Danny Galant, for being actively involved in that process and in that forum. So we felt like the forum fell well within our SFA and vision, our vision statement, specifically the 6th paragraph. It states that our campus will be collaborative, open, collaborative, and engaged. Later in that paragraph, it says, people will feel valued as employees of the university and work hard to sustain the sense of community that distinguishes us. We often hear the word, the SFA family, or the saying, the SFA family. Welcome to the SFA family. And we held this forum to basically discuss a sense of community and where families fit on this campus, because the SFA family community includes our personal families. So following this forum, I formed an internal ad hoc committee of the Senate that basically would summarize the dialogue from the forum, as well as a follow-up survey that we've asked of our faculty, staff, and students. Right now they're working on putting all that together and carrying that conversation forward. And we're excited to see kind of the direction this is going and look forward to continuing discussions with various stakeholders on campus. The Professional Welfare Committee was also actively engaged in moving forward on our initiative that you've heard before, the Career Ladder for non-tenure track faculty. This Career Ladder, again, would give those non-tenure track, non-adjuncts, but basically a career ladder where they can move next in their career. I'm pleased to inform you that we've had a lot of positive feedback about the idea behind this career ladder, and are actively looking to find the right model for SFA. While the initial proposal that we put together may not be the one that's ultimately adopted, we're looking to find what best fits for SFA within our culture. And we're really encouraged to see the subcommittee has been put together that includes deans, associate deans, chairs forum, as well as faculty senate. The last thing I'd like to talk about, just some of the activities, involves Dr. Paredes' visit. Dr. Paredes is the Commissioner of Higher Education in Texas and came to campus earlier this month. He met with a group of 12 faculty that was organized by the Faculty Senate. I was in that conversation as well as a couple of other faculty senators. So I'd like to tell you a little about what we talked about. The purpose of their visit was to kind of inform and have a conversation leading into the next legislative session. Dr. Paredes led off with the primary topics that we're going to be discussed is 60 by 30 Texas and the goals, and specifically talked a little bit about transfers. Dr. Paredes heard about one of our strategic enrollment goals, and that is to become a Hispanic serving institution. While he was excited to hear that, he cautioned us. He said that he wants to make sure that we are truly serving this population and not just trying to get to a number. And that's a conversation that we've had within Faculty Senate and that Irma Brecht had talked about as well. And so we're going to continue that conversation moving forward. Dr. Paredes also said one of the biggest problems facing Texas higher education is a problem with transfers. Specifically, he's referring to the loss of transfer credit between institutions, whether it be junior college to four-year or between four-year institutions, and said that if we as a Texas higher education don't fix it, then the legislator will for us. And so that was an interesting conversation. He then finished with a conversation about student debt, specifically the last goal, or one of the goals in 60 by 30, that is student debt. He said that this is probably one of the most difficult goals to reach within the 60 by 30 Texas. He encouraged us to think outside of just finding new state appropriations, but more of repurposing our current funding on student success. He argued that if our student success initiatives encourage or increase retention, in turn will increase our funding model. So the last part, which is probably my favorite part of what I get to do, is highlight some of the faculty. If you'd seen your packets, I don't know where it is, I'm sorry, somebody could tell us where it is. There is a list of outstanding faculty accomplishments since our last meeting in July. Tab 19. So please it's about 10 pages long, which is very impressive when you think of, that's what our faculty have done since July. And so really exciting, and I'm sure we've missed some people along the way, but you can see it's broken down by college. It's really exciting to see a lot of the work that our faculty are doing, not only in research presentations, but also collaborations with our students. In addition, I'd like to continue highlighting a faculty member from each college that represents positive student engagement that happens all over our campus every single day. Each of these faculty that I will bring to you and have brought in the past really show their passion for recruiting and retaining our high-quality students, all of our students. And to that point, I'd like to introduce to you two faculty members today. First is Dr. Charles Gavin. I'd like to come on up, from the College of Fine Arts. Dr. Gavin is a professor of music in the College of Fine Arts. He joined the faculty of the School of Music in 1985. He has a bachelor's degree from the University of Southern Mississippi and graduate degrees in horn performance and pedagogy from the University of Iowa. His teaching has been recognized by his peers as he's received the College of Fine Arts Teaching Excellence Award, and I think most prestigiously is in 2016, he was the first faculty member to be named to the Dean's Circle of Endowed Professors in the College of Fine Arts. Dr. Gavin, when I asked him what kind of student engagement meant to him, he said that student engagement has been what's been most successful within the School of Music. Specifically says it starts before the student even steps on this campus. It starts early in building relationships with high school students. And he said he and his colleagues, that's one of the reasons why they've been so successful in their recruiting efforts. Through the recruiting and the audition process within the School of Music, Dr. Gavin and his colleagues know most of the students on a personal level before they start that. And again, that builds that idea of a true mentorship program that includes their applied professors, the ensemble conductors, the classroom teachers, and the students. And that the results of this multi-layered engagement really makes the student success a possibility. For example, if a student does poorly in class, their classroom instructor will reach out to their applied instructor, that is their advisor, and put them on a path to be successful. In addition, he and his colleagues have designed various ways to engage with students early on in their academic career. For example, they assign students that are at the beginning of their career to study groups and assign upper-level music students to help the students guide them through the music theory courses as well as through the studios. So Dr. Gavin and his colleagues should be commended for their personal attention and concern for individual success, and it's vital to the success of the School of Music. So, thank you. I'd also like to introduce you to Dr. Sam Copeland, which his name has come up a couple times, so you get to meet him today. Dr. Sam Copeland is a professor and the director of the Bachelor of Social Work program. The BSW program has 3 locations, obviously here on campus, but also at the Tyler Junior College, as well as Lone Star College in the Woodlands. To Dr. Copeland, I asked him what positive student engagement meant. He said it means treating students the same way that you would want your child to be treated at other universities. He gets to know the students by names, and as they walk up and down the hallways, he asks how their day is going and truly cares about that and tries to work through any issues the student might have. He really wants the students to know that their well-being and their educational success matter to him. As a professional school of social work, students do a lot of different engagement activities. They go through leadership development. They accept appointment on faculty committees. They also join student organizations. They participate at social work conferences. They also spend a day at the legislature. And then finally, one of the really unique things is they have a 600-hour internship that really helps them build marketable skills, which is a big part of our program and in our mission statement. Dr. Copeland and his colleagues have also developed a lot of relationships with advisors and educators at the high school level, as well as community college. As I mentioned, there are several off-site programs, Tyler Junior College and Lone Star as an example. He doesn't only run the program here from Nacogdoches, but he travels to meet and get to know those students as well. He sits in front of and talks to introductory to social work programs at the community college. Tells students what it's like to be a student at SFA, what it would look like for them to graduate from SFA's BSW program. And so really what they're trying to do in the BSW program is to prepare students for career as professional helpers. So it's without a doubt that Dr. Gavin and Dr. Copeland represent student-centered activities that occur on this campus every day, and again should be commended for their engagement activities. So in conclusion, it's my hope that you see how productive our faculty have been. I want you to know how engaged we want to be with our students and are doing on this campus. And most importantly, I want you to know that as faculty and faculty senate, we want to see SFA be successful and be a part of that. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Well, thank you so much. We always appreciate your comments and love seeing the accomplishments of the faculty and staff. That they are definitely the heartbeat of what happens here at the university, and we are proud of them as well as you are, and everyone is of each other. So thank you so
Thank
much. Now we're going to have a report from the Student Government Association. Jeffrey, you're hiding over there from me. I can't see you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Last time I wasn't present because I was at my internship in Washington, D.C., and I had Scarlett Lopez, the Speaker of the Senate, come and give a speech. So now I'll have some time to formally introduce myself. My name is Jeffrey Guna. I'm a junior here at Stephen F. Austin State University, studying political science and minoring in French and Cree law. So nice to meet you all. And I'll be going over a couple of highlights and reports from the Student Government Association. Before I start, I just want to say that I apologize for not wearing a purple tie. I am absolutely passionate about this university, and I'm very proud to be representing the student body. So for the first highlight, I just wanted to thank Dr. Patillo for inviting me to speak at the 95th anniversary celebration. It was a great opportunity for me to get to meet well-respected people in the SFA community, and also get a chance to learn about the rich history of SFA. It was a great privilege to be a part of a great historical occasion, and I just wanted to thank you all for being there and also giving us the opportunity to speak. Secondly, the Lumberjacks Vote Initiative is something that the student government has been pushing on since classes have started. We have been in cooperation with organizations such as the NAACP chapter here on campus, Progressive Coalition, and the College Republicans here on campus. And through that, we've gotten a great amount of students registered here on campus. And since early voting has started up since last week, we have been operating some shuttle vans here on campus to get students to vote at the court, and that's been successful. We'll be having those shuttles running up until the voting election day. So that's another highlight. Lastly, we have been working since last year with ITS department to implement some new technology services here for the students. First, we have opened up the charging docks. Those came actually the same day as the 95th anniversary celebration, and students have been using those very diligently, and we've been seeing and receiving great feedback from those. Secondly, we have also opened up some printing services throughout the Student Center, and that's another pilot program we've been testing out. I wanted to thank the Department of Student Affairs and also the Office of Student Engagement for assisting us in that. It's been a project that we've been working on over the summer, and it finally got to unravel this semester, so we're very, very proud of that accomplishment. And in the coming weeks, we'll be continuing to work with the ITS department to come up with some new technology services that the students can use, and with our great hope, we hope that we can get some bigger and better services for the students. In closing, I want to thank you all for having me here. It was a great honor and privilege to speak to you all, and I wish safe travels upon you all, and thank you, and Action Jackson.
Thank you. Okay, we just have a couple of more quick things. I would like for you to look, everybody, look at the table and look how many pieces of paper are on your desk. one of these in the mail before you got here also. Well, one of the things that we have been working for, there's been a little committee working for about 6 months now on taking us paperless. We have been working really hard. Judy has spearheaded this committee. Meredith Bailey has chaired it. We have had several people in the room that have sat in on the committee from advisory capacity. Alton and I have been working with the committee with lots of ideas, and we put out RFQs, and we've talked to different companies, and we're really excited to update you. Well, before I tell you our exciting news, Judy, you want to kind of tell them? Judy and I talked about this about 2 years ago. And she said it's come back and forth, in and out over the years, and it's just always, we're too busy to do it. And I said, well, let's do it. And so she has been a great support system. And I just want her to tell you what all she does just to get this book ready. And then what this new system's going to do for us.
Okay. Well, I'm delighted to tell you about this. You know, as Bridget said, we thought long and hard about this, that we thought we needed to move to a system where we could do this all electronically. And so I know that Chair Henderson spoke to you all after she was elected that she would like for this to be a project of hers during this term. And I'm happy to say that the time has come now for us to do this. So thanks to you all for giving us your input on what you wanted in this software. We got started talking about this. When we formed this committee, the first thing we did was to investigate what other universities are doing. And it really confirmed that the time is right because we are the only university in Texas that has not moved yet to an electronic system. They all have one. And it was helpful to us to hear their processes and what they had learned, the things they said not to do and the things they said to do. So that was very helpful. So we put together this committee, as Chair Henderson mentioned. She and Regent Fraley served on it, representing you. Our chief audit executive was there, and our general counsel served on it. Our chief information officer brought a team of IT people with their technical expertise and understanding about the security that we needed to deal with. So we had really all the bases covered. We set our priorities based on the kinds of things that you all told us you wanted to do. You wanted ease of use. You want the board meetings to go very smoothly, for the documents to be updated instantaneously. I mean, it's just, and we hope that you're going to think that this is wonderful when we get through it. We examined the responses that we had from our RFQ and found that there were 3 that we really wanted to interview. So we did that. We set up interviews with all 3 of them and learned about their software. And then all 3 of them allowed us to set up our own SFA trial portal so that we could try them out. And that was really fun. I learned a new term that you get to play in their sandbox. So we were able to assemble board books. We were able to upload old archived materials, minutes, those kinds of things, and search by keyword for things that we needed to find in those things. So we saw lots of really good use for this, other than just saving paper, that it really is going to make us much more efficient, much more able for us to find things that we looked for in the past. So after we tried them all out, then last week we met again and chose the software that we think will be the best for us. And our project manager, Meredith Bailey, is now negotiating a contract, see if we can get a contract with them to set this up. And our plan then is to, at Chair Henderson's direction, is to get ourselves trained between now and January. And then we will try this out at the January meeting. But we'll do it in parallel with the same way we've always done it, so that you'll get your board book in the mail, and then when you get here for the January meeting, hopefully we will be able to give you a session on training, and then we'll try it out at the January meeting. If all goes well, then we'll go live in April, and that will be from now on, our electronic system to do this. We hope you're gonna like it. We hope we're gonna save a lot of forests for other purposes. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you have or talk to you about it, but we're very excited about it and are very grateful to you for giving us this opportunity to do something we think will be good for the university.
We had fun trying to come up with a name for what this would be called, and Jamie came up with some great ones, from Saving Judy to saving our trees on campus. But we have decided we're officially calling this the Board Management Software Committee in this transition. And when you hear the word training, it's not going to be 8 hours on a Sunday afternoon or it's Sunday. They tell us we'll be fully trained in about 45 to 60 minutes. So we're thinking about adding that to an executive session. That way we can kind of play with it and sandbox it before the meeting on Monday. But like she said, we will have hard copies and electronics just to practice through January, and then hopefully everything will be functioning and up and running for April, completely electronic. So it's an exciting, but when I asked Judy, who else doesn't do this, she said, the only one. So it's going to move us along with our new buildings and all those. We're also get into the new age. So we're really excited about that.
Well, you realize that, we've been supporting our mascot. I mean, as lumberjacks, we cut trees.
That's right.
And now you're gonna, we're going to electronic stuff, so.
Pulp was already dirt cheap.
Pulp's really cheap right now. I mean, it's like, it's dirt cheap, so that's probably why we've hung on as long as we've hung on, Bridget.
Just think how much ink we're going to save. It's multifaceted. Yeah. Okay, with that being said, my last duty for the day is to name a nominating committee. If you can believe it is time for that. And the nominating committee for 2019 and 20 will be chaired by Dr. Scott Coleman. And also serving on the committee will be Ken Schaefer and Tom Mason. Okay, well y'all, we have had a great day.
Yeah.
And to close the meeting, I would like for everybody to stand up. And I want you to shake the hand of the person standing beside you and then turn around and shake the hand of the person behind you. Because we could not have done what we've done.
Very good.
Great job.
Well done.